Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our Bosch Legacy Season 2, Episode 4 reaction and review. If you watched our video about Episode 3, I think there's a pretty clear takeaway in there. We ain't happy with a lot of what they brought to the table. Carl freaking Rogers is just being dragged back out from the grave, from oblivion, being forced upon us yet again.
Yeah, when they have like this really interesting David Foster story right in front of them. This episode I liked a lot better than 3. 1 and 2
Yeah.
were straight fire. They were so good.
Yes.
10 out of 10. Then episode 3, they brought back out Carl Rogers, or it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, come on. But this episode, it dove deeper into everything that's going on with David Foster. We learned a little bit more about him and what was going on. He's been lying to everybody,
Yeah.
secret relationships, and these 2 like shady boots cops have come out of nowhere that are like really weird guys, and
Yeah.
they're giving Honey Chandler such a hard time, and it's all about David Foster. It seems like there is a much bigger mystery around this than we initially thought.
That is good. That is
Yeah.
great. That gives us something to cling to beyond Carl Rogers, which is, I think, the thing we all sort of wanted right now, which is what is a story that is exclusive to Bosch Legacy Season 2
Mhm.
and not singer-producer David Foster is looking to be my this is going to be my joke for a while. If there's anything you guys know about me, I take that joke and I cling on to it for dear life.
You do, but I mean, yeah, no, moving into this episode, they really focused. Yeah, there's a little bit of the Carl Rogers, whatever going on, but we're not going to focus on that as much as we are going to be focusing on everything that's going on with the David
Yeah.
Foster case, because it is way more interesting
Yeah.
to me, and what's going on with it sort of circling Honey, because she is the person who's, the lawyer on this case,
Yeah.
and everything that's been happening to her. Like, she's picking up on some stuff, but not everything. It's getting interesting.
Well, we're going to try to pick up on everything within this Bosch Legacy episode, but before we dive deeper into all of it, join our Patreon. Check out that link in the description. Every week we do live streams over there talking with you guys all about Bosch Legacy. We want you to be a part of it, so join our Patreon. Thank you so much to everyone who has.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let's just get headfirst into this situation with Honey Chandler and how this is all related to David Foster, because this to me is really fascinating and really interesting because clearly they don't want this case to be looked at, examined, argued. They just want to put David Foster off in a corner. Nobody
Yep.
talks about him, nobody deals with him, and then you go about your business.
Yeah, this is really getting covered up. We have these 2 shady boots cops here that are
Yeah.
also trying to kind of cover things up with David Foster. David Foster is the fall guy.
Yeah.
Why? Like, it is like there's DNA evidence everywhere. His alibi is now dead. From an overdose, but not really. Turns out that he's actually been murdered. So, it's all coming out. Like, what a coincidence. The one person that can help David now all of a sudden is gone. And not only was this person his dealer, but it's come out that this person was someone he was involved with.
It's really okay. This whole situation is really complicated just from the sense of every time we think we know everything about David Foster, another thing comes out. Like first it
He's
was
a liar.
not only are his pants on fire, his pants are now currently ash. Like this man, I still think he's lying. I still think there are more and more secrets that are going to come out. And I don't necessarily think that he's holding on to stuff out of malice. I think it's just he's worried about some of what he knows and how it would impact other people that are close to him. And
Yeah, he was saying he doesn't want to lose his family. He doesn't want to hurt his family.
yeah,
Even Honey in her therapy session was talking about where she was like, yeah, I met David when he was really young. He was like 19, 20 years old when he first got into trouble.
Yep.
He, seemingly turned his life around. And now he's in this situation where, he's married and, has this life. But then he also has this man that he was in a relationship with for like 6 months, who's also his dealer, and he was using again. And then all of a sudden there's this murder that has his DNA all over it. It just is like, you've got David who's lying about everything, but then you have all this like evidence all over the place. But I actually believe he didn't do this.
I am there with you. I don't think he did it either. And here's my tinfoil hat theory on all of this. We'll just stick this on here. I think David has some sort of evidence of deep rot that's going on within the police department. I think he knows some stuff that's really, really bad. Maybe he found out about some of it because of this dealer, and the police who are involved know about some of this. And because of all of this collectively, they have concocted this scheme where they're going to set him up, look completely just discredit whatever sort of information he has, so he is the most unreliable witness possible, try to intimidate his attorney through whatever means necessary, so that, okay, you're gonna get like random public defender who comes in who doesn't have any experience, you don't have good representation, you don't have any credibility, you're gonna be locked up, nobody's ever gonna believe you, and then we can keep doing our own corrupt stuff because nobody's gonna stop us.
This whole like setup with these two cops was so good. Like I was totally, I didn't know who they were, what they were doing. So we had, of course, Bosch meeting up with Honey, and these two guys show up. I'm like, okay, well, who are they? We
Yeah.
watched one of them like beat up a guy on the street for like no real reason because he was just irritating him. I
Yeah.
was like, okay, are these guys like PIs? Like, we know that the FBI's investigating them, following them around. Did they hire these two PIs? Like, are they cops? Are they whatever? I kind of thought maybe they were PIs or something, maybe with bad guys. Like, I just didn't know who they were, what they were doing. They were really set up to be kind of like, maybe they're the big bads of the season, and I think they are, but
Yeah.
I did not expect that they actually ended up being cops, because we had one of them follow Bosch all the way back to his home, looking through his mail. That's why I was really like, oh, they're PIs. Like they're
Yeah.
really kind of investigating in the way that we've seen Bosch investigating as a PI. But then they got together and they're following Honey, and all of a sudden they're calling and being like, oh yeah, there's this black Mercedes and swerving all over the place. I think this person is intoxicated. Just calling it in as like, a helpful thing. I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And then the sirens went
Yeah.
on and they were the cops. I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this is where it is.
They thought a lot of this out. And I mean, yes, there's no way to know for sure that Honey is going to drink or to like have that element of it, so you can have like some element of credibility. But Honey is smart enough to of course be like, I'm not going to give you guys anything when you pull me over. Sure, you can arrest me and I will end up, sitting at the off police station for a little while, but I'm going to try to figure my way out of this. But they do everything in their power to just make Honey look as bad as possible in this situation. Likely so that if she does end up staying on David Foster's case and this doesn't end up going to some, low-level public defender,
Mhm.
there's going to be questions that come up about, okay, is your lawyer fit to trial because your lawyer was just recently arrested for this?
Yeah, I mean, it does help to discredit her.
Yeah.
It looked like they wanted to get to that David Foster file. They want to know what she has. And that was the thing. It was such an interesting scene when they pulled her over and she just like locked the door, threw the key inside the car,
Yeah.
was like, nope, I'm not giving you anything. Oh, let's get into your car. Nope, I'm not giving you that either. Okay, can you do this test? Nope, that's not happening.
Yeah.
Let's go in, sort of thing. But as soon as these other cops pulled up, they were like, oh, can you just take her in? We'll wait until the car gets towed. I'm like, wow, this is all planned just so beautifully for them.
Yeah.
that then they're able to break into the car, see the file, and she's smart enough that when she
Yes.
picks up her car, they were like, yeah, it was unlocked. No, I know it wasn't unlocked because I'm the person who locked it. There's no way that it was unlocked. So either you guys unlocked it or someone else
Yeah.
unlocked it. Then she's looking through her files and she's like, that David Foster file was right at the
Yeah.
front and now it's in the back. I know she's there with Bosch, who's kind of like, maybe you did have
Yeah.
one too many. And she's like, no, I know myself. I know what my limit is. Having a glass of wine or two, I'm still okay to drive. I was in no way drunk.
Yeah.
Something's going on.
I think at the end of the day, Bosch will believe her. Yeah, he doubted some things because I think it's only human to doubt some things after this sort of situation plays out. But
Kind of. I mean, Bosch has known her a
yeah,
really long time. Like, I think he would have noticed something like that.
I think ultimately though, just she is so smart and she already knows because of what happened with this arrest that something wasn't right. So she went into this with the right mind and just thinking, okay, I really need to take a look at every single thing here because why did they pull me over when I was not doing, what I was accused of doing? Why
Mhm.
am I sitting at the police station? The obvious answer is they needed to get me away from my car.
Yep.
And lo and behold, there it happens. Like, my question is, why did you guys not remember to put the file back in the same spot? Like, the key
Yeah.
thing is a little bit harder to sort of, have her not understand in any way, but you could have at least tried to put the file back in the same spot.
Yeah, for as sort of detail oriented as these two cops were to have everything
Yeah.
sort of work out the way that they knew that it would work out, I was actually really surprised that they put that back in the wrong spot as well.
Okay. So this story clearly, I think we both think it's very, very compelling, and it's one of the better things they're
Yeah.
doing. I wanted a little bit more of the Maddie Bosch story, and not in terms of screen time in this episode, but more of okay, so she's getting assigned to this new place. She has
Mhm.
shown her aptitude out in the field, going above and beyond with everything that happened in episode 3. So it's like, okay, that's great, but where is this going? Like, what are we actually getting here in terms of substance? I still feel like we're setting up for some sort of fall down the road where she's struggling more than she's letting on, and eventually this is all going to come to a head. But in what situation is that going to happen?
Yeah, I think it feels a lot like, yeah, she got this promotion. Now
Yeah.
she's on this new sort of part, this new group where she's working more with burglary stuff. She did really well with the bracelet.
Yeah.
People saw a lot of potential. Hey, we have an opening. Do you want to work with us? Yes, I do, sort of thing. The thing that I think they were really setting up in this episode, because she also moved out of Harry's place. She's not
Yeah.
with her dad. She's given up her apartment. She doesn't want to go back there,
Yeah.
obviously. And she's living with this other cop that she's in a relationship with temporarily, she says, But so Bosch doesn't really know anything that's going on. And I think their relationship is just in kind of a really tough spot because, her dad can't tell her to stop being a cop or it's too dangerous. I
Yeah.
mean, he was in that same position and she was on the other end waiting for the call that could come in and worried all the time. And now he's on the other side of it being like, oh, now it's my turn to be on that side of it. I don't like this one bit kind of thing. But he knows he can't tell her to not do her job or not go
Yeah.
back. But she was there for like 4 months. And he's like, don't you think it's too soon to be moving out? And it's been 4 months. Like she wants to move on with her life
Yeah.
and it's time to move on. It was a good amount of time. She's moving on. But she's definitely hiding a lot from her dad. She hasn't said that she's moved in with this guy. And again,
Yeah.
even temporarily, she's not really telling him what's going on. Then she gets this sort of, move at her work and he finds out about it through
Yeah.
somebody else where she has to kind of pretend to be like, oh yeah, real proud of her. Of course. What? Like he just doesn't
Yeah.
know what's going on. And she talks about it a little bit later where she's kind of like, yeah, I haven't really told anybody yet. I haven't told him yet. I don't really know how to tell him because he's not like overreacting with anything, but he's definitely having a reaction that he's worried about her.
Yeah.
So going into this sort of thing, I think she's just I think they just don't know how to bridge that gap in communication. And part of it is that she is not opening up about stuff. She's trying to still
Yeah.
write that impact statement. She's having a really hard time with it. Like she just, once she gets over that hill, I think her relationship with her dad will start to get better. But yeah, we're here right now.
And she's stubborn, but you know what? Her dad is also really stubborn. This is a character trait that makes sense to be happening within this situation, and she is the sort of person who she's probably going to have to find out the hard way when it comes to communicating or not communicating and what the
Mhm.
problems are there. I think the hardest thing I'm struggling with her story right now is just that I just don't care about this romantic relationship like at all. I just don't. There was no investment in it from the get go, so it's just like
No.
okay, so now she's dating this guy. It's like why am I supposed to care or feel something about this? It's not like I'm opposed to her having a romantic relationship. It's just that if we're gonna have one, I want to see a build up. Like I want to have some time where I'm actually kind of getting to see it work, getting to see the dynamics at play. And now we're just in this sort of relationship where it's like, okay, do we tell people or do we not tell people? And it's just like, okay, I've seen this story on so many other shows. I'm just not interested in it.
No, I'm not really interested in it either. They didn't spend enough time building it up into something where I would get invested in it.
Yeah.
I do think that they're setting it up that people are going to find out and it's going to turn into a problem and
Yeah.
whatever. But I mean, there's much more interesting stuff with Maddie this season that we don't need it.
Yeah, it feels a lot like, oh, what should we do with this character? Let's just give them a love interest and try to have some sort. It's like you have her coming out of this like hugely traumatic event.
Yeah.
There's so much just to be mined from that, and
Mhm.
I think that you can really this show in particular, you've got enough like case specific stuff that there's not always a need to really get too much into people's dating lives, but we'll see where the season goes with a lot of that. There's like even with this last episode, we were very frustrated, but you know what? Things have started to turn around a little
Yep.
bit for the better. If we can just get Carl Rogers out of here altogether, the world will be much better.
Absolutely. These two shady cops that have shown up, I'm very interested. They took a good long time
Yeah,
in this episode focusing on them, who they are. The reveal was really good.
yeah,
Like they seem like they're, besides putting the file back in the wrong place, they're very smart.
yeah.
So, they're going to be good foils to go up against Honey, who is also very smart.
Yeah, I'm gonna put all my chips in on Honey here in terms of
Yeah.
figuring this out. Well, we will be back with more Bosch Legacy, but join our Patreon. We have a link in the description. Weekly live streams
Mhm.
all about Bosch Legacy. Thank you so much to everyone who has joined,
Thank you.
and we will see you here next time.